All right. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Dreambound. In the last episode, we finally got to see that moment where August died. He's been dead this entire game. The very first thing that we saw in this playthrough was his funeral. We all knew it was going to happen, but we didn't know how. And so I was quite pleased, we'll say, with finally being able to see that, finally getting the details of that. And I am very interested in seeing the way that the rest of this plays out, the way that August's death has changed both Cain and Noah. I want to see their conversation now that Noah finally knows how August died. And I'm ready to just hop right into this, so let's go and let's see what happens next in Dreambound. Noah had not been to visit August in the hospital room. Noah had arrived at the hospital too late. By the time he'd gotten there, August had already passed away. August's father, Jasper, had asked Noah whether he wanted to see his son to say his final goodbyes, but Noah hadn't been able to muster the courage. He'd been too afraid. He had never seen August lying there, his eyes closed, his blonde hair fanning behind him on the pillow like a halo. He hadn't wanted to see it. Perhaps part of him had hoped, by avoiding August's death, he could pretend that it never happened. But that was foolish, now that Noah thought about it. Ignorance could never bring back the dead to life. He left Cain in that hospital. He never knew what Cain had gone through. He had left Cain, too, at the funeral, which had been held a couple of weeks later. Noah ran away from home without a single word to his best friend. For years he had been running. But now, Noah was tired of it. He was so tired. Isn't it paradoxical, being tired inside of a dream? I thought they were supposed to be peaceful. But I don't think I've had a single moment's peace ever since August died. Trying to avoid the truth didn't make me feel any better. It only ever made me feel worse. I guess in the end I couldn't escape from reality. Not even inside a dream. August. Oh fuck, August. Cain sniffled as he sat at August's bedside, his hands still tightly clasping August's. You can't do this to me, man. You can't do this to him. When Noah finds out about this, he loves you so much. Fuck. He was sobbing so bitterly, his whole body shook. Noah couldn't remember ever seeing Cain cry like this before. Cain always acted so calm and confident, so incredibly together, that it was a rare sight. All this time, Cain had been grieving August. He just hid it from me. Why did I ever think otherwise? Fuck. Cain cursed under his breath, yet more tears trickling down his flushed face. Fuck. This wasn't supposed to happen. Why did everything have to work out like this? Cain. It was on trembling legs, like a newborn deer, that Noah approached Cain. His body felt strangely weightless, and his footsteps made no sound as he crossed the spotlessly white floor. Noah felt unfinished, like a hasty sketch of a portrait, one where only the suggestion of eyes and a nose had been penciled in. He felt vague and hazy. And maybe he was. This was a dream, after all. Cain's tears, however. Noah was sure they were real. The thought had crossed his mind that Cain had been the one to hurt August, but that was the stupidest thought he'd ever had. I thought Cain might have been jealous of August for spending so much time with me. But even if that was the case, Cain cared about August, too. He cared about him more than I realized. That's why he's crying so much. How could he have hurt him? How could I ever accuse him of doing something like that? Cain might know me pretty well, but I'm starting to wonder whether I knew Kane at all. Noah came to a halt by Kane's side. His hand hovered above Kane's shoulder for a few moments, hesitant and indecisive, almost afraid. Before, with an exhalation of air, he set down his palm. Kane, it's all right. Softly, Noah spoke, his voice so quiet Kane's choked sobs overshadowed it. I know that this was an accident. You did everything you could to help him. It wasn't your fault that August. Noah's voice caught in his throat. That August. He winced, pained, as though something had caught itself in his throat. Saying it aloud was difficult. Hell, for years, simply thinking it had been difficult, but he could no longer escape from reality, not when it was staring him in the face. It was time to admit something he had known for a long, long time. That August is dead. The moment Noah said this, his shoulders sagged. It felt as though a great weight, one which had crushed him for almost a decade, had finally been removed. That's right. August is dead. He's dead, and he's not coming back. Crow might look a lot like August, but he can't be August. I might be in a dream right now, but this is reality. I can't run away from it. I can't question it. I can't fight against it. August is dead. Noah. Kane murmured Noah's name as though it was some sort of prayer. Kane hadn't noticed Noah's presence in the hospital room earlier. Perhaps he hadn't been able to see him, but the sensation of Noah's hand against his shoulder made him turn. This Kane was younger than the one Noah was familiar with, younger than the one who had threatened to murder Asher. This Kane wasn't a well-off adult with an array of expensive suits and his own fancy apartment. This Kane instead was a teenager, one who was lost and anxious and unsure of himself, with damp eyes full of tears. Noah was unsure whether Kane realized that they were in a dream, or whether Noah was much older than he ought to have been. Perhaps that didn't matter, though. The lines between dreams and reality were beginning to blur. Noah, I'm so sorry. I wanted to help him, but I know you did. I know. Noah reassured Kane as best he could, but though it was the younger Kane he was talking to, it was the older Kane he was thinking of. He was trying to look out for me. He was only doing what he thought was best. Did I really hate him for that? It was terrible what happened, but you weren't to blame. You did your very best. But my best wasn't good enough. Kane hiccuped, more tears rolling down his flushed cheeks. I was meant to be the responsible one. I was supposed to look out for you, for both of you. August said I acted like a parent. He called me the mom friend. He trusted me to take care of him. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't save August, and I couldn't take care of you. If only I'd tried a little harder, this could have been averted. If only I'd done something. Then what? Noah knelt down, then stared into Kane's watery eyes, took Kane's trembling hands in his own. What more could you possibly have done? I don't... Kane shuddered. More tears rolled down his cheeks as he wept. I don't know. I have no idea what I could have done, but I should have done something. I shouldn't have let him die. He was right in front of me, but... It's in the past now. It can't be changed, but I don't resent you for it, Kane. Not at all. Well, you should. I deserve to be resented for what I did. You should hate me. Noah thought of Kane holding the gun to Asher's temple, thought of Asher's face, stark white against the midnight sky, and frowned. Maybe I should hate you. Noah inhaled. But I don't. You don't? Of course not. How could I? Oh boy. You know what route we're going for. You know what I've wanted this entire time. Why I chose Kane's route. We gotta do it. You're my best friend, Kane. That's not what I chose. No, you're way more than that. You've always been my greatest supporter, a pillar that I could lean on, even when I pushed you away. You're everything to me. Noah. Kane. Noah rose to his feet, or at least he tried to. He was unable to put too much space between himself and the sobbing Kane, however, because Kane shifted forwards. Or maybe he fell? It was hard to tell how deliberate Kane's actions were when he was sobbing so much, but one moment he was sitting at August's bedside. And the next, his arms were wound around Noah's middle. Brokenly, he sobbed, like a small child. Noah couldn't see Kane's face, it was buried in his shirt, but he could hear how desperate Kane's sobs were, how very desolate. Noah could feel moisture staining the front of his shirt. Kane was going to leave a damp patch when he finally pulled away, Noah was certain. But Noah didn't care. He had been pushing Kane away, and his kindness, for years, but now, he's been suffering just as much as I have. How did I never realize that? I really am selfish. Shh, it's all right. Don't worry. Noah wound his arms around Kane, pulling the younger man against him. He rested one hand against the small of his back, while the other ran through Kane's hair. His heart felt like a hollow, empty, worn-out thing. He was awfully, impossibly weary. But still, he held on to Kane. Who else did he have to cling to? Who else could understand how he felt? I'm here for you. You can cry as much as you like. I won't push you away. Really? Absolutely. After everything you've done for me, I think I owe you at least this much. I wasn't there for you in the past, but I can try and make amends. I can't go back in time, of course, and console you, but I can do this. I can try and forgive you. I'm not a saint, but if it's for your sake, I think I can do it. Noah heard a shifting from behind him. He turned, slightly, and saw Ivan at the back of the room. He was uncertain how long the man had been there for. His eyes were wide as he backed up, hitting the wall behind him. Eyes still wide. It hasn't changed. Sunshine? He's dead? Ivan did not speak loudly, but the hospital ward was so quiet it might as well have been a gunshot. I'm sorry. What have I been struggling all this time for? Ivan? He's dead. The only person that mattered. And Ivan just turned, opened the door, and left. Honestly, now I really want to do his route just to figure out his secrets. I have feelings like I know what was going on there, but I doubt that we're going to get much answers in Kane's route. Noah wanted to chase after him, to question him, but Kane still clung on to his shirt, crying. Now wasn't the time to leave him behind. And so Noah just held Kane, carefully and delicately, and looked towards August's body. It wasn't really August. This was a dream, but it looked like him. Likely felt like him too, with his fading heat. It was as close to the real thing as one could get. Huh? Noah frowned. There was something off about the body. August was lying on the hospital bed, the white sheets pulled up about him. The sheets obscured most of him from view, but Noah could see the curve of August's shoulders, obscured by his blue shirt, and his neck, which protruded from it. August's neck was long and slender, and his skin was pale, unblemished. It should have been pale at least, but... What? August's body was not as it should have been. Noah could see an intricate black pattern snaking up from the collar of August's shirt. The pattern was thin, like jewelry wire, and it extended across the right side of his neck, forking off at various places. The pattern looked a little like fissures in a cracked piece of crockery, or lightning, or a tree in the winter stripped of all of its leaves. It looked familiar, unsettlingly so. It looked just like the marks which crept across Ivan's right side, the marks which had been found on his parents' bodies, the marks which had been found on Luca's. Oh. How? Noah stared at these ominous markings, slack-jawed. Or slaw-jacked. What? I've never heard it that way before. Is that an actual way that you can say slack-jawed? Or did they just kind of mess up there? What the hell? They're a symptom of dreams. Hi, Crow. I didn't know you were here. Both Cain and Noah's heads whipped around to the new voice. Crow stood in the doorway to the room, looking away. They don't just appear on those that die in their dreams. They appear on those that have been corrupted by this world. Humans are not designed to be here. Even a single trip can kill. But I... Rose smiled, sadly. For those like you, Noah, you are resistant to the effect, but not immune. Over time, dreams can kill you, too. And yet I selfishly wanted you to keep coming back. I'm sorry. That's why Ivan is covered in those markings? That's correct. He's likely spent too much time here. What are you talking about? Dreams? That doesn't make any sense. August never... He did. Just once. I'm sorry, Noah. What the? Cain looked between Noah and Crow, his face a perfect picture of wide-eyed confusion. What are you talking about? What you're saying doesn't make any sense. Noah hardly registered Cain's voice. He was too lost in his own thoughts. I did this. I took him in a dream, just the once, to see his mother. The fall didn't kill him. I did. Noah? But... Hey, Noah. Noah stared off into space. The stark, bright white of the floor and the white of the walls began to melt together. It seared his eyes. Don't flashbang me again. His head throbbed. Then, his torso bent. Something inside him broke, and he began to sob. Holy shit! Noah, what's wrong? I know you're upset about August. I'm upset too, but you still have me. I'm here. I'll never leave you, I promise. This promise might have come from a Cain who was 6 years younger, but Noah didn't disbelieve it. He knew when Cain promised to protect him, he meant it. He had always meant it. Cain had been devoutly steadfast. He was always there. Noah, meanwhile, was a fuck-up. He was a loser. He was a wreck. And now, he was a killer, too. August had died, and it was all his fault. He had murdered August just as surely as he would have if he plunged a knife between his ribs. It'd been an accident, of course. He hadn't known, but what did it matter? His good intentions wouldn't erase those marks on August's neck. It wouldn't undo the damage he had caused. It wouldn't bring August back to life. Even in Cain's dream, August had died. His passing was inevitable. Feeling guilty would accomplish nothing, and neither would crying. And yet... Noah's making noises. But that didn't stop Noah's tears from dripping down his cheeks, hotter and wetter than candle wax. Cain stared at him in alarm, though Noah couldn't get a good look at his face, not when he was sobbing so brokenly. Hesitantly, Cain reached forward. Perhaps he meant to rest an arm on Noah's shoulder, or else pull him into a hug, but he never had the opportunity. Oh no, cracks had begun to open up in the walls, which were too white, and the floor, which was unbearingly bright. These cracks spread, growing wider and wider, until the whole room groaned. It sounded as though the hospital room was in pain. If it was only fitting. Noah was in pain, too. He was in so much pain he thought his heart would split. It's time for you to go, Noah. This dream is unstable. You must return to safety. Who cared if the dream imploded, taking him alongside it? He didn't want to be alive anymore, not in reality, nor in the world of dreams. He couldn't bear to face what he had done. I judged Cain so harshly, and look at me. Such a piece of shit. Noah? What's going on? The dream continued to collapse around him, the hospital room fragmenting into pieces, like fine grains of sand. Noah! And then, there was nothing. The world fell apart, taking the lifeless August and the anxious, wild-eyed Cain with it. They were gone. The world was gone, and Noah was falling. He plummeted, his body dragged down by gravity's inexorable pull. He continued to fall, on and on and on, when... Noah, I'm not going to let you be alone. Not like this. I've got you. Noah felt arms wind about him, steadying him, in a voice in his ear. The voice was soft and gentle, and familiar alongside it. It sounded a lot like August. But Noah knew, even as he sobbed, that this person was not August. He would never see August again. Instead, it was Crow. Crow, you... Noah sniffled. Angrily, he swiped a few tears away from his eyes. He didn't want anybody else to see him cry. Why? Why are you helping me? Because I can't bear to see you hurting like this. The truth is often painful, Noah. So painful that you feel as though you want to curl up into a ball and die. But even that feeling, that urge, will pass in the end. You have to let it pass. Don't succumb to it. Make it through. Even when you can't see the other side, know that there will be one. Because the world goes on. The sun rises, the sun sets, even if you didn't notice the morning. A new day will always come. A day where you may struggle and hurt and suffer, but also a day that you may enjoy, or grow, or laugh. Don't give up, Noah. How can I live knowing it's my fault? I would rather just keep falling forever. How do you think Cain would feel about that? Damn, Crow, shit, hit him in the feels. What? Cain killed my parents. He tried to kill my brother. I don't know how to forgive him. I want to. I think, at least, but despite all of that, you still came here searching for him. You still care about him. Isn't that right? Noah opened his mouth, then closed it. He wanted to refute this query, but he knew, deep down, that Crow was right. He did care about Cain. He cared about him so much, the sight of his younger self, the anxious teenager, sobbing over August's body, had left him feeling horribly shaken. I do care about him, but you worry that you cannot ask him to care for you, not after what you did. Noah fell silent. Then, he nodded. He's too good at figuring out how I feel. It almost feels like he knows me better than I know me. He really is like August. Keep hurting, Noah, and grow. Then be happy one day. How? How could I? I don't deserve it. I am unsure of how much I can speak for him, but I'm certain if August were here, he would want you to be happy. He would forgive you. Do you really think so? I'm certain of it. That was simply the sort of person he was, don't you think? He had a very big heart, and he loved you a lot. To his detriment, maybe. If it wasn't for me, then August, you couldn't have known. You didn't mean to hurt him on purpose. You just wanted to make him happy. Isn't that right? Well, yeah. Noah sniffled, his eyes stinging, and violently wiped his eyes with the back of his arm. Of course I didn't want this to happen. I loved him. I know you did. I think a big part of you still does. Your love for August is a very pure, selfless sort of a thing. It's wonderful, Noah. If I could be loved in such a way, I would consider myself very fortunate indeed. Crow's voice trailed away, and he sighed. But that's unimportant. You have someone else you can turn to now. Someone who's been bearing the burden of this tragedy on his own for many years. Don't make me want to do the Crow route, too. I mean, I do know that I want to do everybody's story, because I want to know more about them as characters, as people, but man, I can only do so many routes at one time. He loves you a lot, though it took you a while to realize. He can protect you. That was what August wanted. What? Noah brushed a few more tears from his eyes, then looked at Crow curiously. What are you talking about? Noah thought he had an idea of who Crow was hinting at. He wasn't being particularly subtle, but he had a hard time wrapping his mind around it. He must be speaking about Cain. I've known him longer than anybody. He's always been there for me. At least until the other day when he tried to kill Asher. Then he disappeared. I've been looking for him, but I don't know what I'll do when I find him. What should I say? Should I really forgive him? Can I forgive him? Confused thoughts swirled about inside Noah's head like a fog, thoughts which battled for dominance. Noah was unsure what he was supposed to make of Cain now, or of their relationship. He told August that he loved me. Was that really real, though, or was it all part of a dream? Does he still love me, even now? Is that why he stuck by me for so long? How should I feel about that, though? Noah didn't know. He had no idea, but his uncertainties did not stop the landscape from shifting about him. Good luck, Noah. Choose whatever will make you happiest. He had been drifting alongside Crow, inside of a void. Now, however, the scenery about him was beginning to shift. Ripples spread across the fabric of reality. Not, Noah supposed, that this really counted as reality. It was all a dream. But no, it wasn't even that. It was a dream within a dream. This static, sterile, unchanging world was altering, however. The darkness which surrounded Noah, thicker than any fog, parted. When Noah's feet hit the ground, he found himself standing, once again, in his old classroom. All right, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode. We are gearing up to the point where we are finally going to confront Cain after all of this, and I am excited to see that. Excited to see what sort of conversations we're going to have there. And honestly, I'm not really sure what else to say on that front. I'm just excited for the next episode and seeing all of that, and I hope that you are as well, but I might as well just end this episode here and get to work on making that next episode for you guys. So, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one when we finally find Cain.